There was a person by the name of Joel, and he had a appointment in Midtown Manhattan. So he woke up early, made sure to get to that appointment bright and early. As he's about to walk into the meeting was canceled at the last moment. So his immediate, response is, get on the, take a cab or get on the other train back to his office, which was on the 102nd floor of the Twin Towers. And as he's walking, as he's rounding the corner, I don't know if anybody has ever walked in Manhattan. Well, not now, but generally there's about 7 billion people walking on one street. And as he's like rushing back to the office, he makes a sharp turn, like on where the building was, and he bumped right into somebody who was standing right in front of him. And this person was holding a hot cup of coffee, and they bumped into each other, and the cup of coffee went all over his suit, went all over his shirt and tie and pants, and he was soaking with like burning, hot coffee. And, now he figures he can't go back to the office like this. So he decides that instead of going into the office, he's going to go into his apartment. His apartment had a view of the World Trade Center. He gets into his apartment, he changes, and as he's sitting over there, he picks up his phone to call up his boss to tell him that he's going to be a bit late to his, into the office. And as he's dialing, he's looking at the building from his window, and the scariest thing, he sees, this Boeing, this 747 plane fly straight into the second tower, and that's where his office was, and he sees the plane go right into it, and he's panicking. He's like, wait a minute, that's my office, and he was on the phone, and the phone all of a sudden suddenly went, it went busy, and he kept on dialing other people in the office. He's like going crazy, and he tried to contact so many people in his office, nobody was able to answer. And unfortunately, we all know the end to that story. But this really affected Joel. It really is it's like I was supposed to be there. And even though Joel was a Jewish person, religion was never part of his life. Some time goes by and he sees an ad for learn how to read in Hebrew. And he said, you know what, let me learn something. Something sparked inside of him. He ended up, going to this class, and this one thing led to another, and he ended up becoming a full-fledged Orthodox Jew. Where he goes and says, the spilled cup of coffee not only saved Joel's physical life, but it also saved his spiritual life. In so many of these stories, we see the good, shortly right afterwards. But in life, it's not always like that. We don't always get to see that gain. We don't always get to see how we were saved. And when we do, we should use it for chizuk. But when we don't, we have to go and we have to have this emunah, this faith that kol man da'avid rachman ala ta'avavid, that no matter what happens, there's a greater plan over here. Whether we see it or whether we didn't, there is a greater plan.